America and Europe were never supposed to fight this kind of war. For decades, they built one of the closest economic relationships in the world. They traded with each other, invested in each other, and created supply chains that connected factories, companies, and consumers across the Atlantic. But now, that relationship is becoming more competitive. Tariffs are returning, governments are protecting strategic industries, and companies are becoming more careful about where they invest their money. Two of the richest markets on Earth are now competing for jobs, factories, technology, and economic power. The strange part is that America still needs Europe, and Europe still needs America. So why are two close allies becoming economic rivals? And if this competition gets worse, which side actually has the stronger position? To answer that, we will compare America and Europe across 5 major areas: trade, manufacturing, technology, tariffs and regulation, and finally, the battle for the industries of the future. By the end, we will see where America has the advantage, where Europe can fight back, and why this conflict may be much more complicated than it first appears. So, let us get started. Number 1. Trade. This is where the disagreement begins. America looks at trade with Europe and sees a problem. European companies sell huge amounts of physical goods to American consumers, including German cars, medicines, industrial machinery, chemicals, and luxury products. When American politicians look at those numbers, they see a clear imbalance. America buys more physical goods from Europe than Europe buys from America. From Washington, that can look unfair. The argument is simple. American money is leaving the country, European factories are benefiting, and American workers are competing with products made overseas. But Europe sees the relationship very differently. European leaders argue that physical goods are only one part of modern trade. America has an enormous advantage in services, especially in software, finance, cloud computing, digital advertising, entertainment, and artificial intelligence. European businesses use American technology every day, while European consumers spend heavily on American digital platforms and services. So, Europe asks a different question. If American companies earn enormous amounts from European services, is the relationship really as unbalanced as Washington claims? This reveals the first major contrast. Europe is extremely strong in physical goods, while America dominates many of the services that modern businesses depend on. But trade numbers only tell us what is being sold today. The bigger question is where those products will be made tomorrow. And that takes us to number 2. Number 2. Manufacturing and factories. This may be the most important part of the entire conflict. For decades, global companies built supply chains around one basic idea: produce where it is cheapest and most efficient. That strategy helped companies lower costs and gave consumers cheaper products. But many American communities watched industrial jobs disappear as production moved elsewhere. Today, Washington wants more of that manufacturing back. And tariffs can create powerful pressure. Imagine a major European car company selling vehicles in the United States. If tariffs make imported cars more expensive, the company suddenly has 3 choices. It can accept lower profits, raise prices, or move more production into America. For Washington, the third option is extremely attractive. A new factory brings investment, creates jobs, supports local suppliers, and increases production inside the United States. But Europe sees a very different outcome. A factory built in America may be a factory that Europe never gets. Investment can move, skilled jobs can follow, and suppliers may eventually move with them. Over time, that can weaken Europe's industrial base. That is why this fight is not really about the price of one German car. It is about where the factories of tomorrow will be built. Here, America has a major advantage. Its consumer market is so valuable that foreign companies cannot easily ignore it. But factories are only one source of economic power. In the digital world, the balance begins to change. Number 3. Technology. This is where America is strongest. The United States is home to many of the world's most powerful technology companies. American firms lead in cloud computing, software, digital advertising, advanced chips, and artificial intelligence. Europe has strong industrial companies, but it does not have the same concentration of global technology giants. That creates a major dependency. European companies often rely on American software, European businesses use American cloud systems, and as artificial intelligence becomes more important, that dependence could grow even stronger. But Europe has a powerful tool of its own: regulation. Europe may not control the biggest technology platforms, but it controls access to one of the largest and richest markets in the world. That means European governments can create rules that global technology companies must follow if they want access to European consumers. Europe sees these rules as protection and control. America can see them as pressure on American businesses. Now the conflict begins to reverse. Washington can pressure European manufacturers through tariffs, while Europe can pressure American technology companies through regulation. America has technological power. Europe has regulatory power, and both sides know how valuable those tools can be. But once tariffs and regulations begin to build on each other, another problem appears. Number 4. Tariffs and regulation. Tariffs sound simple. A country taxes an imported product to protect its own businesses, but the real effect is much more complicated. Suppose America places a tariff on a European product. The European producer may lose sales, but the American company importing that product may also pay more. Those higher costs can eventually spread through factories, retailers, and consumers. Europe can respond with tariffs of its own, and then American exporters begin feeling the pressure. One side acts, the other responds, and the conflict can slowly grow. But for businesses, the biggest danger may not be the tariff itself. It may be uncertainty. A company can prepare for a known cost. What it struggles with is a future it cannot predict. Will tariffs rise again? Will another industry become a target? Will Europe introduce new restrictions? Will America respond? These questions matter because companies make decisions years in advance. Factories cost billions, supply chains take years to build, and major investments are expected to produce returns for decades. If businesses cannot predict the rules, they may delay investment. Hiring can slow, new factories can be postponed, and companies may begin searching for backup suppliers and backup markets. So, even without a full trade war, uncertainty can quietly damage both economies. And that leads to the biggest question in the entire video. Number 5. The battle for the future. This conflict is not really about tariffs. Tariffs are only the visible part. The deeper battle is about who will control the most important industries of the next generation: artificial intelligence, advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, energy, digital services, strategic supply chains, and the factories that create high-paying jobs. America wants more of those industries at home. Europe wants to protect the industrial power it already has. America has several major advantages. Its consumer market is difficult to ignore. It leads many important technology industries, and companies around the world want access to American customers. But Europe is far from powerless. Its market is enormous. Its manufacturers remain globally important, and European regulators can create rules that even the largest American companies cannot ignore. America can pressure Europe. Europe can pressure America. But neither side can do it without creating costs at home. And that may be the most important point in this entire conflict. For years, globalization was built around one simple question: where can we make something at the best price? Today, another question is becoming just as important: which country can we trust? That changes how companies think. The cheapest supplier may no longer be the safest supplier. The most efficient factory may no longer be in the safest location. And even a profitable market becomes less attractive when political rules can suddenly change. America and Europe are still allies. They still trade enormous amounts with each other, and their economies remain deeply connected. But friendship does not remove competition, especially when jobs, technology, factories, and the industries of the future are at stake. The trade war nobody expected may never begin with one dramatic announcement. It may happen slowly. One tariff changes the cost of a product. One regulation changes the way a company operates. One factory moves. One supply chain is redesigned. Then another decision follows. and another, until the relationship looks very different from the one that existed before. So, the real question is not whether America can hurt Europe or whether Europe can hurt America. Both sides clearly can. The real question is whether either side can become stronger without making its closest economic partner weaker. Because in a trade battle between friends, there may be no simple winner. And winning may be far more expensive than either side expected.